participants. Joy FM Radio, for your ears only.
A very good morning and welcome to the platform program, and this is the Thursday edition. McFarlane Munyanga is my name, and we'll be together from this moment up to the hour of 11 hours. And of course, we do hope that you are going to join us as we obviously get to look at issues laid forth. Now, today we happen to be actually hosting the Democratic Party Lusaka District, rather Lusaka Province Deputy Youth Chairperson. That's Mr. Lazarous Simukoko. And of course, I will deal with a number of issues arising from the governance perspective, and also get to look at governance-related issues insofar as Zambia is concerned. This year, on the 12th of August, Zambia heads to the polls, and of course, all activities are actually pointing to that particular day. And indeed, we do know that various activities surrounding the political space will actually be taking center stage. And that means that the messages that the electorate actually expect are those which will actually give them a benefit over what they have obviously always expected. Welcome, Mr. Simukoko. How are you doing today?
We are doing fine, Mr. McFarlane, and thank you very much for hosting me and the Democratic Party, and thank you very much to our listeners for tuning in.
Great, and let's begin our conversation this morning by looking at some of the strides and actually issues that the smooth flow of the political transition insofar as how we are actually heading down to August 12th. Very few months away from that day.
Okay, I think from where we have started from as Democratic Party, we have done the homework very well, and we are assured of a victory. And that is why, if I can also mention to you, we have got structures all over this country. Apart from that, also I had a privilege to visit Rufunsa, Kafiwe, Rwanga, which is within Lusaka province. Mm-hmm. So we went there and we were welcomed very well. And the mood in that area, I can guarantee the people of Zambia, as soon they will be liberated from all these things which have been put in by the Patriotic Front. So again, looking at how we have prepared ahead of these elections which are coming in, we have managed to make sure that we put up measures which can be able to ensure that we make sure that most women, most youths are participating in these elections. And that is why I can also attest to the fact that about 60% of the people who are contesting on the DP ticket are youths and also women. So that is how far we have moved as a political party. Nevertheless, the area where we are mostly prepared, because a win is just a win, provided you don't have solutions which you are supposed to give to the people of Zambia, then it will be the same. What have we done as Democratic Party? We are mentioning to you, Mr. McFarlane, to say, immediately we win. Yesterday, I was listening actually to the manifesto which the president, the manifesto for 2021 to 2026, which the PF have managed to bring in. They have said they are going to cancel road tax. According to them, they are saying no Zambian will be able to pay road tax. Wow. Let us try to look at these facts for a while. How many Zambians are owning vehicles today? Few are doing so. Apart from that, Mr. McFarlane, let us also try to mention a few things here. You know that road tax ranges in various ways. It is this government which brought in toll gates, because we never had toll gates in the MMD government.
And so that is one of the taxes from the roads.
Absolutely. And that is one of the taxes. So what are we saying? Are they telling us to say the money that they spent on building those toll gates will be wasted like that? Are they telling us to say all those toll gates that they have managed to put in, they are going to collect money? They are going to demolish them, because provided they are there and no activities happening there, they should tell us which activities will be happening in those toll gates. because provided that they are there, it means they are supposed to be getting tax from all these people on vehicles or those motorists. If they are doing so, then it means the money which this government used to build this Katuba toll gate, the money which they used to build Michael Sata toll gate, it means all that money went in vain. If it went on in vain, it means the money that they spent in those projects, it means it will be nothing. It will be nothing. And it means Zambia is not going to be doing enough, provided that money was used to build an industry, to build a firm which will be able to produce clothes for this nation, so that we start exporting, so that we make sure that Zambia is gaining enough foreign revenues. Even this dollar we are talking of, it can reduce. But this government, because they have got no vision, they have got nothing to tell the people of Zambia. This is just another mockery of Mulungushi Textiles. We remember, Mr. McFarlane, that the president of this country told the people of Kabwe, the people of Central Province, that immediately I'm voted in as a president in this country, I'm going to ensure that Mulungushi Textiles is opened. He's also mentioned to say over 10,000 people in that Central Province are going to access jobs as a result of the opening of the Mulungushi Textiles. All that has not happened. Why hasn't it happened? It's because from the word go, when he was asked to say, do you have any vision of being the president? He said, no, I don't have vision. So provided there is no vision, because they need to explain to us where those targets will be taken to, because targets are now all over this country. If they are all over this country, then what activities will be happening in those infrastructures, those buildings which they have built as targets, which are even having inflated figures of prices which are placed under them? What activities will be happening there? Does it mean that those places, who is going to be occupying them? It means we are going to demolish them. If we demolish them, then it means they're out of use. A building is supposed to be in use for it to maintain its stability. It means if you are not using them, sooner or later, that building will be demolished. That building will soon fall in its own or collapse. So that is how we have managed to lose things in this country.
Now, the very cardinal issue is that someone is coming to question the Democratic Party as to, you are saying that some of the, pronouncements or, statutes that are actually found in certain manifestos, like the ruling party's manifesto that actually, highlights a scrap in road tax. Now, what would be the solution from the Democratic Party? Or what does your manifesto say regarding issues of the roads?
Okay, what we in the Democratic Party want to do, first of all, allow me also to mention to say, provided this is the new manifesto which has managed to come in, then it means the economic recovery plan, which the president had launched, then it has no use, then it is not even being used. So meaning, it was just a sheer waste of time that there was even a program to say, no, let us go for an economic recovery plan. And they like, because that economic recovery plan, it is the plan which is supposed to be used on how we can be able to liberate this. But all those are jokes. We don't even have to be paying much attention to the documents which are coming from this government. Now, as Democratic Party, our plans regarding road tax, look, taxes only increase if you have got few people who are paying. According to the tax ban, Mr. McFarlane, every person who is supposed to pay tax, that person is supposed to be getting more than 4,000 plus as the amount those people who are working as civil servants. Now, the question that we are going to ask is, how many Zambians currently are being paid 4,000? When you see how many people or how many Zambians are looking for employment, they are all over this country. A number of them are not employed. It means few people who are working are paying more tax to cover up the majority of the entire population of this country. An example which I can give, Mr. McFarlane, when you are in a home, you are just living as Bankungulume. And then all of you are about 50 of you, and only one person is working. It means that is the person who is supposed to be supplying with food in that home. Now, how is that person going to make sure that he sustains the way the family is supposed to be living or the way you are supposed to be living in that home? It means that person will be paying more on consumption and not on investment. What are we trying to say at the moment? Only the few Zambians are paying tax because all those people who are being given or who get 4,000 are minimal or are few in this country. We in the Democratic Party, our plan is to increase the tax base, whereby a lot of Zambians should be able to have jobs. Immediately, a lot of Zambians have jobs. It means that if you increase the tax base, those people will be paying more than 4,000 every month if they increase. It means even the Zambia Revenue Authority, the way they are going to be charging this tax, the way they are going to be collecting this tax, tax ikabwera, every Zambian will be paying maybe a 50 kwacha per month instead of not the things that we are seeing today. Zambians are paying more than 800 and something as tax for those who are getting above 4,000. Now, what kind of a country are we living in when you are spending more than 800 and something just on tax? It is going to the Zambia Revenue Authority. Let us look at how we are going to question this. We are also going to ensure that we bring in deliberate policies. I had mentioned earlier to say, immediately we say importation of buses to come in this country will be for free. It means that all those people who will be owning those buses, they will be requiring to have fuel. Immediately they have fuel, they are going to have cooperatives. Those cooperatives, they can be able to pay a bit of tax. If they are able to pay a bit of tax, it means that instead of you stressing that civil servant who is paying that, who is getting that 4,000, who is getting that 5,000, you are going to reduce on the amount that is charged on every tax. That will be okay. Nomba muno mcharo for tulemon. Bamatfale ni mwempia mulefola. Nachakoba chingi. You are covering for a lot of people in Zambia who are not working. Government remicha as a place. Immediately government remicha as a place. Ichochile pilibu lokwebati. Impiesho mulefola. Mulebwela mufia na ama change. Impiesho mulekwata fya ama changing nga mwafola. Mu Democratic Party fwenga tuwawina. We are going to make sure that abengi abantu bambo okubomba. Bantu abantu nga bambo okubomba. Ero chalo chikawama. Ichikusha economy. Tena nkane te fintofo mkwetawe. Bantu abalebomba, because as a result of those people working, that is what will also result into the growth of GDP. Because if from Democratic Party to immediately we form government this August, we are going to put up industries across this country. Na twabikama industries muno. Abantu abengi bakambo kulabomba. Abantu abengi nga bambo kulabomba. Icho chile pilibulo kwebati. Ifintofo tufiro okutwala mu Kongo mukushitisha. Ifintofo tufiro okutwala mu Malawi mukushitisha. Mu Mozambique mukushitisha. Tukala kwanisha. Ifanga tuambo kwanisha. It means that twakula bashichapala nga tule bashitisha. Tabakala tulipira mu madola. Tabakala tulipira mu makwacha. Bakula tulipira mu madola. 25 kg of minimum Congo mulia ni $25. Ichonombe chunga twaisa toke dollar per kwacha rate ni 22 kwacha. Nishingo twala earning as a result of that money. Immediately we do so. Dollar kuwera, inflation kuwera, fionse fintu if kuwera. But the things that we are seeing at the moment is this government is not caring about the people of Zambia. From 1964 up to this date, Zambians have never suffered like this. Elo bale chula pa. Nangu bale chula parapene bale didati no MMD. The Zambian people voted for MMD not because they didn't perform. It's because the political party stayed long. All they were looking for is change. Number change vale foya. Vale monati vale toroko fuma muri pani ya akaba. Pani kwete sala jukweba vale ya panse. Kanshi vale pone na mumudido. Chwe chance poidi. Ishu kwe poidi. Ngama votera wa Democratic Party mu 2021. Ya na August elections to ala kwata.
Now, let's get to look at, the poverty datum line. And of course, we've seen a lot of people, languishing in poverty in this country. What are the causes and how we can actually get to suppress this and ameliorate and advance people from this level that they are actually? And of course, with the message that you have as Democratic Party, how would you actually elaborate and explain to the people how this poverty can be eradicated in a nutshell?
Okay. One thing that we need to understand at the moment, let us look at where we are coming from as a nation. Twalikweta bena munya mundia muno. Twalikweta bantu like abena adi mwanga nkumbula. And all those young people who helped to liberate this nation for us to gain this political freedom. Now, those people at that moment even had little education, but they managed to contribute. Positively to the nation. Now, what kind of things did they do? They managed to safeguard or to put up all those measures so that the country can prosper. They provided us with education to prepare us for moments such as this. The problem that we have in this country, Mr. McFarlane, it's because we have got more universities than companies which are employing people. Imamunona mkwatama universities katushinga ali 100 and chakuti nganafika na 200 and chakuti. How many companies are we having which are employing all those people? Today in this country, more than 2 million every year are graduating as students or as graduates in short, immediately they graduate, we need to be finding alternatives to say, where are these people going to work? We in the Democratic Party, Mr. McFarlane, we have understood that in as much as we have more universities, it means we are creating a market which doesn't have things which they can utilize. What are we having as Democratic Party? Immediately we win. We want to equalize the number of universities and the number of companies which will be able to employ these people. How are we going to do it? We are going to ensure that we look at the population that we are having. How many Zambians are we having? We are about 20 million at the moment. How many Zambians are working? According to the labor force survey of 2018, only 6 million Zambians are working. What does that mean? It means all those people, when you subtract that 6 from that 20, number na mwishwe ala shala. When you subtract all that number, it means all those people are languishing in poverty. If they are languishing in poverty, how do we cover up? Long then, during the time of Kaunda, if they discover that a certain student is doing a certain course at UNZA, let's say they are doing medicine, they are doing economics, they are doing all those courses, valeya paramkula nati uyu muntu tirefoese mcha ama internship pa company yesu, so that ngapwisha ama internship sayo alecha ya pano, ngapwisha kosi yakwe nokubomba kambo kubombera pano nomba teififi ntobo ture munapali lero ngamo ma universities kabye nangu ni paunza pale mula pali ponse pa school pa ma universities otukwete mwepisha tibushe mwenga mwapwishe school ni kwisa oko mwakula bomba nchito mukashitanga kwisa tabaya ishiba tabeshibe na pali lero ko bengala bombera abantu aba nomba sister beshibe chishiba leira ku school ifo Democratic Party turerando kwebati aya manese zotukwete muno ama doctors zotukwete muno taturefayo kula mona politician nango muntu wawina alea ku India alea ku South Africa mukupoke fintu nango muku atiyo bonda kwe kulia so that they receive medical treatment tafyakala bombe fyo. When you look at Magufuli died in Dar es Salaam hospital mulamu ine mudia emo bafuidi okwebati if Tanzanians are dying from here, na now inemo na ala afuida. Pantu ushidanda pamfwa, ni muka mwenzo. What are we planning to do? Tuwa kulabula ma medical students, tuwa tuwala ku India, tuwa tuwala ku South Africa, tuwa na China, with different expertises, anama different courses zio barechaya. Immediately ngabaya kudia nomba. Ifo tuwa kulalanda, tuwake, mwapisha ma courses, welulukia ni mchalo muno nomba. Ngababu weluluka Mzambia, we are going to have doctors, we are going to have civil engineers. Our kwete experience ikwetawa India, our kwete experience ikwetawa South Africa na China mulamu na wale pange miseweshi baki shiba ngawashwa tuwabaleta muno Mr. McFarlane imwanga mwalwala. You not be required to go to South Africa for medical treatment. You not be required to go to India for medical treatment. Pantu efe wakwete ku India efe tuwakula kuatana muno 56 years after independence, we can't even look at the market that we have as a nation. In countries, but we can't even supply them with food which can be able to produce muno. To fruits muno, tatpanga ponama juice of fruits. Then where are we going as a nation? We are going nowhere if we continue like this. Today, the Zambian people are suffering. What has caused that suffering? It's leadership. Leadership from where? From the Patriotic Front. Democratic Party, leadership immediately to our winner. We are going to ensure that to actually reduce dollar idea. We are going to ensure that all those students, they are able to find employment. Today, let us look at what natural resources Zambia is having. To alikwata what we call copper, to alikwata gold muno country. Iyo gold to akwata na copper. In terms of exports, copper mining company yara miebo kweba we have managed to do what? To export this kind of copper. Ukunoku, you know, COVID japata to the bomba wino. They are just writing on a paper to say to a produces. As there is no accountability. Long then we have the company which we called Memako. That Memako, it is a country which was dealing with exports of natural resources. Things like copper. It was Memako which was held accountable. Not this question here, but China by Samuno, by copper, to still maybe 150 metric tons. Company actually supply to China. We only exported 20 metric tons. As such, we are losing what we have. And when you look at copper, as a diminishing return, meaning epo mwafunya tete mubweru lukepo, efo fibomba. So as Democratic Party in power, we are going to utilize what we have, even to pay this debt. We are going to utilize what we have. The market, we already have the people or the market, people with experience, people who are trained, but we are not utilizing them. Democratic Party can utilize.
All right. How can we ensure that we enhance and effective prudence in the management of national resources, and also ensuring that accountability is something that is enhanced? Because these are some of the issues that most governances actually have experienced, and we see people not accounting for national resources. We see national resources going to waste. You've just been talking about gold, what how much we have produced in a year or in a month or in a quarter. All those things we need to know as citizens. How are you going to ensure that is the case under Democratic Party governance system?
Mr. McFarlane, when you're at home, you buy a chicken. Before you give to your children, you start by calling first the neighbor's children to say, hey, come and eat and they like. It's either, there are only two things which are there. It's either you are responsible for those children. So, why are you not giving first to the people who are living in your home or people who you call your children together with your family? If you can't believe, we have discovered God muno mchalo. Vale pela ma foreigners, running ama companies ayo. Bushe, vale abantu valia. Tabafiero kuma Chinese ama leaders to akwata muno. Tabafiero kuma Chinese. Vale abantu vada. Tabafiero ma Lebanese vada. Tema Lebanese abantu to akwata muno ama leaders ayo. Abantu obo akwata muno. They are Zambians. As such, they're supposed to be safeguarding what Zambia is having. They're supposed to be putting up what Zambia is having. What are we trying to say at the moment? When Democratic Party forms government, we are going to ensure that we say zero tolerance to corruption. Immediately you do so. If this country goes to borrow to say, we want to do this, we want to build this industry, we are going to be ensuring to say, how much are we borrowing from there? How much are we going to make as a result of this industry? In 1973, it was Kaunda who went to China and Japan to say, I want to put up an industry per village. Mr. McFarlane, Zambia was producing vehicles. Zambia was making its own clothes. Zambia was making these TV sets. Zambia was making radios. Where have we gone wrong as a nation? Muno muchalo muno. Today chula. Muno muchalo muno. We are not producing our own things. We are not producing our own things. That is where the problem is. The moment you say, let us be able to account our resources, even if you account them, the question should be, where are we going to spend those resources? The president of Malawi, Lazarous Chakwera, fired a minister who had squandered the money for COVID-19. Apart from that, Mr. McFarlane, the same president said every person who is named in this Auditor's General report is going to be imprisoned. Even if you have managed to return the money, the issue is that you misused the money when it was needed the most. That is what he said. What are we having in this country? It was people like you, Mr. McFarlane, who went to the Minister of Health by Honorable Chitaru Chirufya. You asked him to say, how much have you raised so far from donations? He said, who has sent you? Number, Zambians, they just want to know how much Zambia is having as a result of these donations so that they can be able to follow up on how the money will be distributed. We are asked those questions. If the president is serious, he can't just be saying because he testified to himself to say, no, we have got corruption here. But what actions has he taken? None of those actions have been taken. Even when you look at how these things are. So the issue that we are having in this country, we are not paying attention to the resources that we have. Immediately we are not doing so. A country can't utilize things. How we are going to ensure that we spend these resources prudently? We are going to ensure that in which area is Zambia facing challenges? In which area is Zambia having insufficiency? And those things are things of like unemployment. Because if you solve the issue of unemployment, it means you have solved almost everything. Almost everything. It means balaba ne baba diparia bala kwa tempia ya kudiramu. Balaba ne baba ikala paria bane bala kwa tempia. Ishakwat vashitobunga, vashitomunani. Look at the senior citizens that we have here. Senior citizens are also suffering. Why are they suffering? They are not being taken care by the government. So, the way it is supposed to be, Zambia is supposed to be owned by Zambians. And me, I don't blame the Chinese. I don't blame all these people who are doing their projects because they are allowed by the government that we have to do those projects. But when you form government, what you are going to look at, you are going to be looking at a Zambian as a person who is going to be contributing to the wellness of this country. We are going to be looking at every Zambian to be able to make sure that they add to what Zambia is lacking. Zambia, but no, we have got civil engineers here. If you can't utilize civil engineers, remove the course civil engineering from these universities because you are not utilizing them. But for the fact that we have them, it means they can be able to do good jobs. We learn to apply and not to sunga. So as a country or as Democratic Party, we are going to ensure that we build industries. We make sure that Zambia starts producing the things that it has been failing to produce for the past 64 years. That's what we are going to do.
All right, and now when we look at issues that obviously border on production, that has been a song, by the Democratic Party, and of course. We seem to be really emphatic. You seem to be really emphatic on that particular one because I've seen a number of times and I've heard a number of times where you talk about production. You talk about the potential each region of this country actually has. Does this mean that industries are going to be set up here with the expertise imported, or maybe you are going to have expertise from within the country?
Okay, so what you are going to look at are the three things, okay? When you look at production in short, production, we look at four things, which are the factors of production. We have got labor, we have got capital, we will also have land and enterprise, okay? Those are the four things. Let us look at land. Is Zambia having enough land? Absolutely, it's there. Is Zambia having enough labor? Yes, because people are looking for employment. Is Zambia having capital? Paraba question mark, because a lot of people need to understand this. Enterprises, it's just where you make sure that you draw enough profit, meaning you need capital and labor in order for you to reach the enterprises part. On the part of capital, how are we going to do it? When you gain investors' confidence, it is going to be easy. I've managed to do so that they understand, and that is why we are even here. I'm here, they are listening to me, and they are understanding at the moment. So what I can be able to say, when you look at the trickle-down effect, how it works, Mr. McFarlane, when you are in a home as a family person, even your child who doesn't work, that person will benefit. Even your family member who is living in Namshakende, even that family member who is living in Katuba and all these areas that we have in this country, they are going to benefit. Because immediately you are paid that work. You can't wait, or you can't just say, leave your family to say, no, you are not going to eat, you are not going to do this. As such, every person is benefiting as a result of you working. Meaning, if you employ one family person, about 10 people in that family do benefit. That is what it means. Now, let us extrapolate that into the Zambian context. If a Zambian is working, it means that every Zambian must be able to benefit from there. How does that marketeer who is selling in city market, how does that marketeer who is selling in Sokone market benefit from the people who are working in government and in these industries? It means that if that person is paid, that person is going to administer certain resources to the wife, and the wife, when they are cooking, they are going to make sure that, my husband likes vegetables and they'll go at it Sokone market. They'll go in city market to go and buy vegetables. Immediately they buy those vegetables. That business person who is in Sokone market, that business person who is in city market is also going to benefit. How is he or she going to benefit? They are going to benefit because somebody will buy from them. As such, business will be moving at a faster rate. As such, business will grow. There will be no wastages. But if vegetables stay on the stand for about 3 days, they're supposed to be thrown, or they're supposed to be trashed, in short. Immediately that happens, it means that person is going to incur what? A loss. If that loss happens, it means that person's business will close down because the person is not getting enough returns. But when you say people will be working in this and that, it means that person is also not working. But we are going to ensure that almost every Zambian is working, because the policy that we have for the youth, if a youth is not at school, then a youth must be in employment. That's what we are going to do. So every person is able to benefit from the trickle-down effect, and everything is going to be in order. Immediate reform government.
Let's look at issues bordering on corruption, and this has been a cancer for many years. Successive governments have tried to deal with all these and of course, it seems the song keeps on being sung. And of course, do we see this country, heading into the direction where we are going to see zero, a record of corruption? Much as we obviously get to know that corruption may not be completely eradicated, but of course, it can show from the growing of the economy.
Okay, first and foremost, you need a firm leadership. I like looking at records first. The president of this country said, "Ukudya kutimwalia, but tabalira kumone mbuto." What does that mean? It means you can eat, but don't eat together with the things that you might use to produce. Now, that is telling you that, in short, that is encouraging corruption. Now, let us look at the past experience of President Harry Kalaba. President Harry Kalaba, looking at how he has managed to even make a name in this political arena. When he was a minister and also a member of parliament for Bahati, he made sure that all the gratuities that he was getting, the allowances he was getting, he was taking them back to Bahati. And that was helping people who are vulnerable. That was helping people who are orphans, the widows, and the like. Apart from that, immediately those ministers managed to stay in office illegally. He mentioned to them to say, no, let us be able to pay back. And other ministers, they stood up to say, no, you just want to show off, you just want to do that. He said, provided we worked and we are not supposed to, then we have to pay back to what the country has. And that is how our president, Mr. Harry Kalaba, managed to pay the money which was obtained in that office. And he was the first sitting minister at that moment to make those payments. That is telling you something. It means that the person doesn't like corruption. The person doesn't like everything. The main reason as to why the president moved away from this patriotic front government, it's because of corruption. He said, I can't continue in a government which promised the people of Zambia more jobs, which promised the people of Zambia lower taxes, and which promised the people of Zambia to have more money in their pockets, yet they don't have. What did he do? He said, no, they said that umwana ashenda atashaba ninokuna, because he was the foreign affairs minister. He understood how the people of Rwanda were living. He understood how the people of Tanzania were living, and that made him to say the people of Zambia can also live the same, like the way they have lived. And a lot of people can raise questions on that one, Mr. McFarlane. They can say, how come your president didn't advise the people he was with in leadership? It's because abantu ngani bankoma amatwi tetibomfwe banda tichumbu munshororwa teololo kanga mwaolola ala kontoka. What does that mean? It means if no matter the advice that he can make. It was in Massa Central, and he said, in here we have got cobalt. Let us be able to bring in companies which will start manufacturing phones, batteries. Now, Mkata Samsung, McFarlane, that Samsung battery, it is most of its components, it's cobalt. That simply means Zambia can start producing its own batteries. But the problem that he made, do you know it? It's because he went in the constituency which was not his. He said, no, let us be able. But he said, I'm the foreign affairs minister. I know how other countries are doing it. It doesn't matter which constituency is there. But for so long as you can be able to invest, because immediately we start making those batteries in Mansa Central, every person can benefit. Every person can be able to make sure that we are making sure that even these people are living in Lusaka, instead of them to go to China to go and order those Samsung batteries, they are going to be able to be manufactured here, and they'll be cheaper. Why? Because production costs will be incurred here. Instead of them paying duty fees as they'll be coming, it will be impossible. It will not be possible, because at that moment, Zambians will start buying things which are made locally. As such, it can be easy. So the issue